Yo, what's up everyone? How are we all doing? Back with another video.
Hi.
World War One Oversimplified. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot it was only 6 minutes, and like the next one's 7 minutes.
That's short, isn't it?
It is short considering.
Was it a short war?
No, no, it fucking wasn't. But yeah, considering like the American Revolution, they were like 20.
One of them was like half an hour, wasn't
it? Yeah.
But
I don't really know what the thought behind was making it so short.
Maybe it's just facts, which is...
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to get into it. We'll do part 1 today and we'll do part 1 tomorrow.
Part 2 tomorrow.
Part 2 tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to get straight into it. Do you know anything? What's your World War One knowledge like?
I know a lot about World War Two, and sometimes I get World War One things confused a little bit with World War Two. So I don't know that much about this one, which is probably not a shock to anyone.
No, you know it. Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it?
We didn't study this, so I don't,
You didn't study World War One?
No.
You never studied World War One in school?
I feel like the only thing I ever remember doing at school was World War Two, and maybe like specific bits of World War One.
You never touched like trench warfare or anything, or war in the trenches?
Yeah, but that was in both, wasn't it? This is what I mean. I get them confused with each other.
Yeah, that's crazy. I thought everyone would have learnt World War One just like as soon as you finish like ancient Romans and ancient Greeks, ancient Egyptians.
I mean, I might see this and think, oh yeah, I did know that, but
like Franz Ferdinand or anything.
I love Franz Ferdinand. Take me out.
Take me out.
Let's start.
The world
Do you know that song?
A time of modern technology, culture, and fashion. Truly the height of civilization. Let's have a war. Everyone knew a big war was coming. France wanted some stuff back that Germany had taken from it. Germany wanted to take more of everyone's stuff. And they were building a big sexy navy that was making the British uncomfortable. These two empires thought they were really cool, but lots of different people who lived there didn't think it was so cool. And some of them had even been declaring independence with help from Russia. Everyone was talking about each other behind each other's backs. Throw in the fact that military technology had come a long way since the last major war, and suddenly everyone was pretty eager to beat each other up. In this area of Austria-Hungary lived some Serbs and Bosnians who hated living in Austria-Hungary. So the Austro-Hungarian Archduke Franz Ferdinand goes there for a nice drive in an open-top car, with his car's route published in advance. And that went just about as well as you'd expect. Some assassins were waiting for him along the way and threw bombs at his car. But they missed and blew up some officers behind him instead. So the Archduke goes into hiding, leaves Sarajevo, and the whole war never happens. Except no, the Archduke doesn't leave, but instead goes back out in the open-top car to visit the injured officers in hospital. The driver takes a wrong turn and by sheer coincidence gets stuck beside one of the failed assassins, who shoots him. Austria-Hungary is understandable.
What are the chances of any of that happening, first of all? And say that driver took the right route. Who's to say that he wouldn't have got killed? So-and-so wouldn't have been mad at so-and-so, that wouldn't have been mad at so-and-so, and World War One never happened.
It's honestly like any little thing, isn't it? What's it? It's like butterfly effect.
Domino effect.
Domino effect.
Close enough.
No, I nearly said domino first, and then I thought, no.
Pissed about all this, and they think the Serbian government had something to do with it, which they might have. So they go to their ally Germany and say, hey Germany, we're going to declare war on Serbia, and Germany is all for that. So Austria-Hungary send a big list of impossible demands to Serbia, and when Serbia refuses, they declare war. Austria-Hungary and Germany are friends.
Wait, I'm just going to turn it up. 2 seconds, guys. Cool.
Serbia is protected by Russia, who's friends with France, so they all declare war on each other. Montenegro joins in too. France and Britain also have a kind of alliance. So when France says, hey Britain, you got my back? Britain is like, maybe? And then they decide to stay out of it, which is...
I think I've explained why Britain was like that before. I'll explain it again though, because you don't really get much information as to why we said no. At the time, it was like we were going through a period of isolation, and the reason we didn't want to go to war was obviously the people were against war, and the party in government at the time was a guy from the Labour Party, and he had some mad name like JJ Aberystwyth. I feel like I've said this multiple times on the channel. I don't know why.
I've never heard you say it.
Yeah, but yeah, he didn't want to go to war. The Conservatives were a bit more pro-war, but at the time the benefits to going to war were far outweighed by just the period of isolation we were going through. But closer to the time, the only reason that Labour accepted going to war was because they felt like the Conservatives were going to get more votes if we didn't go. So they kind of initiated war just to remain in power, by the electorate. But yeah, that's just in case you were wondering like why Britain said no.
This is great for Germany because Germany has a plan. They know that Russia is so big and clumsy that it will take them a while to get ready for war. So with this guy in charge, Germany will send all its troops into France at lightning speed while Russia's getting ready, defeat France, then move all the troops to Russia and defeat Russia, and then we all speak German and eat Pfefferpottast every day. Just one problem. France has loads of forts and defenses along its German border, and Germany can't waste any time fighting them, so Germany decides to go around them through Belgium. Belgium is neutral, but Germany wants to march 750,000 troops through it to get around France's defenses. They're hoping Belgium will just kind of sit down and shut up, but they don't. They fight back, and they're pretty good too, so they slow the Germans down. What's worse is that Britain shows up, and they're pretty pissed that Germany's invading neutral countries. So now Britain declares war on Germany. So Germany push on through Belgium and commit some atrocities along the way. They also wear spikes and sometimes skulls on the uniform. So if you're trying to not look like the bad guys, good job. Now I have a propaganda extravaganza, and this starts having an influence around the world, notably in America. The US President Woodrow Wilson sees himself as a bit of a Jesus figure, and spends most of the war trying to get everyone to just hug it out. But there's also a large population of ethnic Germans living in the United States, and when the war first broke out, they were like, yay Germany! But now that they're committing atrocities in Belgium, they're less enthusiastic. Let's play Spot the French Soldier. Did you see him?
Is it that one?
He's wearing a bright blue uniform with red trousers. And do you know who else spotted him easily too? The Germans. So when the French were slowly marching in columns through the countryside, the Germans easily tore them to shreds with their giant guns. All the nations...
So they wore like bright uniforms?
Yeah, like the thing that you often find about like the French is that like for World War One, they hadn't really updated since the previous wars.
Right.
And World War Two, they didn't update after World War One, so there was always kind of a bit outdated in them two wars.
Yeah.
Obviously, before this, it was mostly like colonial wars, so he was off in, Africa or fighting other European like, smaller powers. But yeah, this is like some of the reasons why like they're still doing bayonet charges against like machine guns and tanks.
So they're not really with the times, are they?
Yeah, tanks weren't around at the time yet. That's later during World War One, but like they were getting just absolutely chopped down by the Germans.
Yeah.
Nations involved in this war went in with an old school war mentality, and all of them had to update their uniforms and tactics a lot during the Great War, because this war was going to be like nothing anyone had ever seen before. Russia's ready for war, and way earlier than expected. Hey, Austria-Hungary, can you get on top of that? Oh yeah, sure, we've got this. Nope. So Germany has to send some troops back to the east to defend against the Russians. The chief of staff of the Austro-Hungarian army is this guy, and although he is handsome, he turns out not to be the best military strategist.
Your type?
Austria-Hungary...
Your type?
Dead.
Mustache?
Guy, and although he is handsome, he turns out not to be the best military strategist. Austria-Hungary constantly ignores Germany's advice, and comes running back to Germany whenever they get in trouble.
It's weird how like... Sorry, I keep pausing. It's weird how like in both wars, Germany was like the powerhouse on the Axis side. Like they were constantly in both wars helping both people. Like in World War II, it was like Italy, and like I know they kind of use the Romanians and that as auxiliary units, but they're constantly helping out Italy. And these wars, they're constantly helping out the Austro-Hungarians. And it's like I wonder what it is about the German people which makes them so good at war. You know what I mean? And I know it's easy to say like their equipment, their soldiers and that, but there's a certain mind state that the Germans have. Even in like football or soccer, they play with this mentality that no other team has.
Do you think it's like it's like a culture thing, just like a...
Yeah, I think it's just how efficient they are. Like, they're just so efficient in everything they do, and I think that translates into them doing well in war.
Have an idea, spread it to the people and just get on with it.
Like when we play football in Europe, like soccer, the general gist around Europe is that when you play Germany, obviously there's 11 people in a team. When you play Germany, it feels like you're playing against 12 people because they're all on the same page and it's such an efficient unit. I just wonder if that affects like their war mentality. I don't know.
And then it comes running back to Germany whenever they get in trouble. Austria-Hungary even gets its ass kicked by tiny Serbia.
I feel like it's getting really quiet.
It is really quiet.
Like, I don't know why.
War. It's better news for Germany in the north, though. They almost completely wipe out the Russian Second Army. Back on the Western Front, the Germans continue advancing and are in sight of Paris. At this point, anyone would be forgiven for thinking the Germans were going to get that quick victory after all, but then things started to go wrong. The French commander-in-chief knew something had to be done, and he ordered his armies to stop retreating. In the resulting battle, a gap opened up in the German lines. If a gap opens up, the enemy can use it to flank you from the side and behind, so the German armies have to retreat. The Allies launch a counterattack, so the Germans dig into defensive positions. The Allies do the same. Then both sides move north, trying to outflank each other along the way. When they reach the sea, they're in a stalemate with trench systems running the whole way from the coast to Switzerland, the beginning of trench warfare on the Western Front. Here's how trench warfare works.
Go on.
No, because I feel like that might answer it. You know when it's saying, like, obviously they had it all along there. Mm-hmm. I mean, in the middle of a war, where'd you find the time?
What do you mean?
Do you know what I mean? It's like, can you stop shooting at me and just dig a big hole?
Well, no, because it's like the Germans made an attack, and then they knew that when the attack failed, the British and the French were going to make a counter-attack, which means that we're going to go that way.
Oh, so
the Germans like fell back and was like, I know they're coming, so they all dug in. The British and the French saw that and was like, oh, we better dig in as well.
Oh, so they weren't at each other while they were digging?
Yeah, they weren't shooting, they were digging the tunnels.
Yeah, okay.
Trench warfare on the Western Front. Here's how trench warfare works. Two opposing lines of trenches with no man's land in between. One side would pummel the other with hundreds of thousands of artillery shells, sometimes for days at a time. This had a huge psychological effect on the soldiers, leaving many shell-shocked. Then, the attacking troops would leave their trenches and rush across no man's land. A muddy, wet mass of shell craters and barbed wire. The defending trench would unleash machine gun fire on the attackers, inflicting thousands of casualties. The attackers would send wave after wave until either they gave up or the opposing trench was finally overrun. There would be months of fighting and the deaths of thousands in order to gain a few meters or kilometers of land. Living in the trench.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It's mental how, like, it just stuck to obviously one side to just keep sending people, and like the other side wouldn't send anyone out to actually fight.
Yeah, it's literally like the ultimate risk and the minimum reward, isn't it? Like you're talking meters that the lines are being moved by, and that's why they had loads of different tactics. So, do you remember Peaky Blinders?
Yeah.
You remember when Tommy Shelby? I don't know if you guys watch Peaky Blinders, but Tommy Shelby was in a unit that had to dig under the trenches.
Yeah. He had to go under it, didn't
he? There were so many different ways that they were trying to get to each other.
And as well, like, they probably lost so many people though, just being like, let's try this. Oh, it didn't work. Well, let's try that.
Tunnels caving in and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Trenches was hard work too. Corpses, mud that could swallow you whole, pools of poisonous water, rats, disease, the smell. It's insane that millions of soldiers put up with these conditions, and commanders ordered them to do so for years.
Yeah, I know we paused a lot in them videos, but it's not, it's not kind of much of a reaction if we just sit and watch and then be like, great video guys, thanks for joining. Do you know what I mean? Like, we like to try and have some input.
Was it World War One where was everyone were they drafting people?
Yeah.
But if you didn't say, like they were saying about the conditions there and stuff, like was it World War One if you didn't want to come out of your trench to just shoot you before you got out there anyway?
You were just court-martialed and, sometimes shot on the spot. What comes out of like warfare and is written on paper is completely different to what actually goes on in there. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can imagine some horrible stuff went on in there that's just never really been documented. Or
imagine though, just someone just being like, I just need like a minute before I can get myself psyched up to go out there, and they're like, no, I'm just gonna shoot you in the face.
Can you imagine that you going over the top? And you're like, I just need a fucking minute.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
That'd be jokes. I just need a minute. All right, fucking hell. It's been non-stop for days. And
you don't ask, you don't get.
The trench war, that lasted 3 or 4 years, that did, man. I mean, a trench. And it's not like nowadays where you serve a 6-month deployment and then go home, have 3 months off and then come back. Do you know what I mean?
Was it like you were there until you were dead or you won? That's it?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There were cases where people had leave abroad or something. Mm. But I suppose very rarely you'd be flown back to England, have some time with your family, and then off you pop again. Let us know what you guys thought. Obviously you can tell by the thumbnail in this one, America joins the next time.
Yeah. I'm excited to see part 2, and then I'm excited to see World War 2.
Is it part 2? I could have swore there was a part 3 for World War 1, because to have an 8-minute video and a 6-minute video for World War 1, I don't know why he's done it so quick.
Maybe the next one's just really
because you know
detailed.
what? Thinking just from a YouTube perspective, if he's doing World War One, you know it's going to get loads of views. I mean, look at 28 million. So I thought he would have made like them a bit longer or maybe more episodes. I don't know. I'm not slagging him off. I'm just wondering.
There's so many of them though. I mean, maybe some others tie into it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for joining us, guys. You know, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you want to see. I think we're obviously going to do part 2, Oversimplified, but then do you want us to go and do the Cold War? Do you want us to do some funny shit or some stand-up?
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, peace out, guys. Let us know.